Hey everybody, my name is Dave. I am an alcoholic and I am on my way to an AA meeting, but I got a couple stops to make first, and I'm going to take you with me on this little journey, this little experience of my life. All right, here we go. Beautiful city of Daytona Beach. You know, I tell you what, something that was huge in my sobriety was having a cup of coffee and driving to just be able to contemplate my sobriety, right? That was important to me. The car has always been a great thinking place for me, looking back on my sobriety. And I like to look back on my sobriety because, you know, there's a statement in the promises where it says, "We will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it." And I never understood that phrase. Like, that phrase was very foreign to me. I hated the past. I wanted to literally wipe out my old life. I wanted it wiped clean from my memory. And I want to do that with a lot of things in my life. But, you know, the fact is that we don't grow spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, none of it. We get no growth when we don't face the past, deal with it, rectify our situation, do what needs to be done. So that was a very hard thing for me to get over, the fact that, you know, I needed to deal with my past. We do not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. But I can tell you now, after, 6 years of living sober, enjoying sobriety, not struggling. I don't struggle to not take a drink. I enjoy not having anything to do with drinking. It's like my life has taken on a whole new meaning that I never knew existed. And it was all because of the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous and working the program, becoming part of the fellowship, sharing the message, helping people inside and outside of the programs of AA. I help people. I look to help people even if they're not in the program. Even if they want nothing to do with the program, I don't mind giving somebody a ride. My life is now based on service. That's such an important concept in life for all of us to learn, is to be service based, to give something back, to contribute. And for me, I love that. I love being service based. Do somebody a good turn in your life, anywhere in your life. It feels good. It's good for them, but it's also good for you. So there's nothing wrong with it. It's good for everybody involved. So going back to this phrase, not regretting the past, not wishing to shut the door on it, it took me, years, probably 4 or 5 years, the first 4 or 5 years of my sobriety, to understand that phrase and to really be okay with my past, and to realize that my past is teaching me valuable lessons about what not to do in the future. And if I didn't learn those lessons, that I would go back out of the program and one day eventually convince myself that maybe I could drink normally, like maybe I wasn't alcoholic, maybe I didn't have a problem. And those right there are deadly thoughts for us as alcoholics, to think like, well, maybe I'm not an alcoholic, maybe I could drink. That's the kind of shit that gets us killed. We go out on a bender and we do something stupid and we get killed. And it's important to know that just how serious this thing of alcoholism can be. Like this is life or death for some people. And we get away with a lot of bullshit in our lives, and in the beginning I didn't get it. In 2015, the first meeting I ever went to in AA, I just didn't get it. I didn't get how important it was. Like, I wasn't in enough pain to realize that like this thing was really going to kill me if I didn't get serious about it. I just thought it was everyone else around me telling me that I had a problem, and I was thinking like, I don't really have a true problem. Like, I'm not constantly almost getting myself killed. I'm just drinking every night. Lots of people drink, right? It was legal. I told myself it's legal to drink, so how can I be doing something wrong? But those kinds of thoughts were what kept me in bondage with alcohol. That's what kept me a slave to the thought that I needed drinking in my life, that I couldn't let it go, that I couldn't live any other way. So a lot of my looking back on my life and looking back on my past and not wishing, not regretting it, becoming open to it, to say, hey, look, I made some mistakes. But what I'm always doing is reverse engineering my thinking. So when I look back on my past and I think to myself, hey, I like to remember that last couple weeks before I came into the program for the last time, where I really made the decision that I was going to go all in 100% and do this thing and do anything that anybody told me that made sense, even if it was uncomfortable, even if I didn't quite fully agree with it or understand how it would help me, that I was going to do it anyway, and I was going to try it, and I was going to open my mind to other ideas than my own, because my ideas kept me drinking and using drugs and living a horrible life. So when I realized that, like, hey, my thoughts aren't working, my philosophy that at that point in my life was not working for me. It was not giving me anything that I wanted. So I figured, why not try somebody else's ideas who had success, right? They always say, success leaves clues, right? So see a successful person, and this can apply to inside or outside the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, is if you see somebody doing something and they're successful at it, watch what they're doing, study them, see what they're doing in their life, and then try it in your life. Now, it doesn't always work, and what I mean by that is maybe the exact thing that they're doing might not work for you, but you might need to modify it a little bit for your life. But the principles are the principles, right? The principles of Alcoholics Anonymous are solid. The principles of success are very solid. You just need to arrange them in a way that works for you. So I always talk about, the program of Alcoholics Anonymous was a huge discovery into myself. Like, I had to look at my life under a microscope and really figure myself out. That was the real beauty of the program for me, for this alcoholic, was to figure myself out and be like, wow, all the stuff that I'm doing, it's so wrong. And I don't even want to make it like a judgment on myself, but like the things that I was doing wasn't giving me the results. It's neither bad nor good, it just isn't giving me the results. And I didn't want to live that way any longer, so I decided to go all in. And when I made that decision, my whole life changed. Like, I can tell you that, like, making the decision to do it, and I wasn't going to turn back, and I wasn't going to, like, let myself off the hook. The first little, trouble that came up in my life, I was going to let myself off the hook. I was just like, no, I'm not doing that. And then I backed it up with the 12 steps. So, like, when you first make a decision to quit drinking, and you're like, I'm doing this. Like, I am going to quit drinking, and I'm going to live a great life, period. And then you back it up with the 12 steps, you will see success. You will change. You will become a different person. For me, the person that I became was like, oh my God, this is the life that I always wanted to live. And here it was hiding. Actually, it was hidden inside of the thought that I couldn't do it. And as soon as I got rid of the thought that, hey, I can't do this, or this isn't going to work for me, all this like naysaying and doubting and bullshit, as soon as I got rid of that, boom, my life opened up. All of a sudden I got money in my pocket. All of a sudden I got money in my bank. All of a sudden I got friends. All of a sudden I've got, freedoms of all different kinds. All of a sudden I got spiritual connection with my Heavenly Father and Jesus Christ, who I choose as my higher power. And I've got all these great things, and like the beauty of life came back. And that's why I tell, for the newcomers, if you'll just stay in it, if you'll just stay in the fight, man, everything gets so good. I can't describe it to you, because if you're in your first couple days, or maybe a week, or maybe a couple months, things don't change that quickly all the time. And sometimes you notice an overnight change, and sometimes things take years. But if you'll keep looking for the wins in your life, just the little daily things that you can write down that you're grateful for. Like, hey, I'm grateful I had this experience. Yesterday or last couple days, I can't remember what it was exactly, there was somebody that was at a meeting with me. We were in the meeting together, and after the meeting was over, they asked me if I would give them a ride. They do not have a home at this point in their life, and I said, sure, I'll give you a ride wherever you need to go. And, got to chatting with them on the way. It was, 10 or 15 minutes. And there was such a beautiful connection to this person that I felt. And I'm pretty sure they felt it too. Maybe they didn't tell me about it, or, make it a point. But like, I know they felt it too. And that is the beauty of the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, and living this life of service and doing things for people, that you get these great little moments. Like, I never had that when I was drinking. I never had this beautiful feeling of doing something for someone when I was drinking, because I was always like numbed out and dulled out by the alcohol. Couldn't feel those beautiful moments where you just help somebody, and the rest of the ride home, after I gave that person a ride, the rest of the time I felt good. Like, I can't even describe it. It's just like I just was overwhelmed with this feeling of goodness and peace, and it made me feel strong, and it made me feel uplifted. And it wasn't anything about like the ego and being better than someone else, or winning something. We get caught up in a lot of those thoughts, but it wasn't about any of that. It was just a feeling of peace that just overwhelmed me, and it was just like, I don't give up those moments. I love those moments. Like, that's what I go back on whenever I feel like life has got me down. I never feel like taking a drink. I never in my mind struggle with like, should I go out and take a drink? It's like, it just doesn't exist in me. That's my experience. And I know a lot of people that's their experience too. And I've heard others say that they struggle with it every day, maybe especially in the beginning or the first year. But for me, I don't struggle. Like, the second I made the decision that I was going to do the program, I had proof that it worked. I had seen lots of other people doing it. I thought, hey, if they can do it, I can do it. As long as I put in the effort. That's a huge key right there, putting in the effort. Not expecting results for no effort, because there's no such thing as something for nothing. But really, like, giving it your full 100% focus and attention. That's the important part. That's what I did. As soon as I did that, I never felt like I wanted to take a drink. It just left me. I prayed to God. I said, please, people told me, pray for God to remove the obsession. So I prayed to God to remove the obsession, and it was removed. Like, I can tell you, like, there's never a time when I want to drink. Actually, when I see people buying I see somebody like walking out of a store with like a 12-pack or a case of beer, I just think like, that used to be me. And I think of how short-term and temporary that buzz is. That there's nothing that's everlasting in it. It just always requires more. Like, when I was drinking or drugging, I got the buzz and then I needed more. It was always more. It's all it ever led to was unhappiness and discontent that required more to keep the buzz going. And I tried for a long time to live that way. It sucked. So now what I do is, in life, whenever I'm struggling with a problem, a person, place, or a thing that I can't accept, I pray for God to remove that obsession from my life. You know, page 417 of the Big Book. It says, the answer to all my problems is accepting that a person, place, thing, or situation is exactly the way it's supposed to be in that moment, and that I have to accept it. Right? I'm paraphrasing now. I have to accept the things in my life that I don't understand. You know, certain people do stuff. I lost someone I really loved this year, and I don't understand why I had to lose them, because to me, the answer to the problem looked very clear. But to them, it did not. And I don't understand why, but I don't have any, since I can't change it, I don't have a choice. My only choice is to accept that that's how it's supposed to go. Maybe God wanted to do some other work in their life, and that's why it is the way it is. Because I think too much sometimes about me and what I'm getting. You know, as alcoholics, we struggle with that. We're constantly thinking about, what am I getting? What am I getting in this deal? And I have to stop. I have to change my thinking and say, well, it's not always about me. Maybe it's about what God wants to do with that person and turn them into a beautiful person. And, you know, that's not going to take place maybe for a couple years. I don't know. God does work in our lives that is unexplained, but we can always count on it will come true. And that's a beautiful thing to have in life. My faith in my higher power gives me a sense of reassurance every single day that when something goes wrong in my life, that eventually, over time, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, it will always work itself out, and it will always become whole again. Because that's a beautiful thing. That is a beautiful way to live. Knowing that I don't have to control every little detail. God didn't put me here to save the planet, to save like all this different stuff. I'm human. I'm a human being, and I can only deal with so much. And God puts me here to do a certain thing, and I try to execute on that certain thing every day by how I feel guided by Him. And that's why I choose not to shut the door on the past. It's like I gotta see the difference between how I was living then versus how I live now, so I can really get it and reinforce the program of Alcoholics Anonymous in my mind. And it's a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful way to live. And I just love living that way. So if you've got things in your life, if you've got things in your past that you feel like you can't deal with, because I know a lot of people feel that way. A lot of people, it's stressful to deal with it. It's stressful to look at our past sometimes. But you will get through it. If you continue to just break it down step by step, make it simple, make it easy, just break it down. One step at a time. Only take one bite at a time. That's how we make things easier in our mind, is by just focusing, in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, we just focus on 24 hours a day. If it stresses you out to think about how your life is going to be without drinking over the next 5 or 10 years and you don't know how you're going to do it, well, don't think about the next 5 or 10 years. Just focus on the activities of today. Keep yourself in the present moment. And just focus on the next 24-hour period, which you're in right now. And forget about all the other bullshit. You don't have to live tomorrow, today. You need to live today. And you need to focus on the fact that you live in a beautiful life right now. Whatever you have in your life right now, whether it's really bad or really good, there is something good that you can look toward, that you can focus on. And whatever that thing is, no matter how small, no matter how large, you need to grab onto it and focus on it with complete 100% attention. When you focus on something with gratitude, and you really bring the spirit of gratitude into your heart and into your mind, you will get more of that. By your belief it is done unto you. That was something that comes out of the Bible that Jesus said. Actually, he said, by your faith it is done unto you. And I've heard other people say, by your belief it is done unto you. What that means is that if you believe in a thing, if you believe the program of Alcoholics Anonymous will work for you, it will work for you. Even if hundreds of thousands of other people tell you that you cannot be saved, if you believe in the program of AA, you will become saved from the alcoholic life that we all experience. The life of, I experienced a life of misery and discontent when I was drinking, and now I experience a life of beauty. I can get behind the wheel of a car anytime I want because I'm not drunk. If a friend calls me and needs me to bail them out, I can do that because I'm not drunk. Because I'm looking for good things to do in my life. And I love that. I love that feeling. I'm telling you, if you're a newcomer in this program and things aren't making sense to you yet, let me tell you, just hold on to the things that you can be grateful for in your life. If you've got a dog, if you've got a cup of coffee, if you got a family member, if you got a friend, if you got a meeting to go to, if you're alive and you're breathing, you've got something to be grateful for, because some people didn't wake up today. Some people, thousands of people around the world died of a drug overdose last night, died of some type of drinking complication. You're here and you're alive today, and that is so important for you to remember in your life. And I want to leave you with that. If you're alive and you're watching this video, you've got something to be grateful for. You need to put in the work and just focus on it. Don't overcomplicate it. Just focus on the fact that you've got something to be grateful for. Find it, write it down, and then look for more stuff to be grateful for. And look to your past and analyze yourself and let it remind you that you don't want to go back to the old way of life that includes drinking and drugging and all that stuff, because there's a better life for you if you want it. But it's just like in how it works. It says if you want what we've got and you're willing to go to any length to get it, you really do, in some cases, have to be willing to go to any length to achieve sobriety in the program of AA, because life is hard. It's hard for everybody out there. Everybody who's living life, even if you're not an alcoholic, bad shit happens to good people. And we have to deal with that. And as alcoholics, we have what we call a toolkit. It's called the 12 steps. We have a spiritual connection. We count on our higher power to guide us through the moments when we have no understanding of how to navigate them. And that is the beauty of the program. And it takes a while to get it, but once you get it, you will never regret going through whatever you have to go through to get there. You know, what you've got to go through to get there is different than every other person. But we all deal with the same set of circumstances. We all deal with life. We all deal with the inner struggle in our minds of trying to like quit drinking or overcome cravings or, you know, deal with a difficult person or a difficult situation. We all deal with that. But the point is that when we make it through, we become stronger. We become more capable. And then we help people grow. And as we do that, we help 10 people grow, and then we help 100 people grow. And we become blessed by that growth until we just feel so blessed. I feel so blessed in the morning. I forget how good my life is someday. I have to remind myself how good my life is. I go running on the beach every morning. I feel connected. I go on the beach and I see the ocean and I look out over the Atlantic. And the other day I just ran up by somebody and they started running with me. It was a guy who was from South Africa, all the way across the ocean. And he was here visiting, and I got to run and chat with him for a few minutes. It's just a beautiful life in this program, and I love telling every single person how great the life is that you can have if you feel like you're stuck in a drinking thing, or you don't know how to get out of a problem. I mean, we learn to overcome stuff. We become strong, healthy, and vibrant when we execute on this program of Alcoholics Anonymous. So with that, I got to go in and do this, and I hope you have a great day. And I hope you find your serenity in life that you want to find and embrace all the goodness that happens within the program of AA and living a great life. I'll talk to you soon.